Okay, good morning. They make me go first, I guess, 2 years in a row, so either they don't like me or they were happy nobody fell asleep first thing last year, so either way. A little disappointed this year. There was no, is this on too? I'm getting feedback. Can you guys hear me fine? All right. There's no, trauma videos this year. So I was surprised last year. I didn't know what to expect when I came last year, and I didn't know if it'd be like a stuffy room full of medical types, whatever that is. I hang out with cops, so. And then I came in, and there was people doing belly flops off of roofs on the video and lots of groin shots. I'm like, I could hang out with these people. So we didn't have that this morning, but I really enjoyed being here last year. I spoke, and then I stuck around for a couple speakers, and one of the gentlemen that spoke after me was talking about sports injuries. And I just learned from listening to him that I'm fairly certain I've had a concussion in my life from wakeboarding and possibly another one from football. So I'm excited to learn what else is wrong with me this year. We'll go ahead and jump into this. Fun topic to start off with here is dead people. These are the ones who maybe get to you and maybe you can't help, or the ones who never even get to you. We're just talking about traffic deaths. With the state police, for the most part, what we deal with are traffic incidents. We're a full law enforcement agency, but for the most part, people know us as traffic cops, and that's a huge part of what we do. And if we look at nationwide statistics, our number of traffic deaths are going down, and that's a really good thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that and maybe some reasons for that in a minute, but, excuse me, any Cub fans in the room? Be proud, it's all right. Okay, any White Sox fans? Okay, you can leave. Still, I'm gonna handcuff you to a light post outside and make you think about your decisions here. Anyway, for the Cub fans, how many people does Wrigley Field hold? Are we really fans or not? It's early. How many people can sit in Wrigley Field? About 40,000. A little bit more. I think it's about 42,000 or so, but roughly 40,000. So if we go back just a couple years, that's about how many people were dying in car crashes every year. Now, on the off chance that the Cubs were to sell out Wrigley Field, and it was full, and we killed everybody in it. We dropped a bomb on the pitcher's mound, everybody died like that. Do you think that would make headlines? I think so. I mean, the election's over, so there's a good chance of it. If we killed that many people at once, that would be a big deal. It's still a big deal. It's just spread out over a year. I mean, do the math there. Look how many people are dying every day. Now, how many of you guys have been in a crash before? Probably most all of us. If we think about it, how many of these crashes had to happen? They were preventable. Had we or somebody else used a little common sense, had we obeyed the law, this probably wouldn't have happened. So any injuries or deaths or anything that stem from these crashes that really shouldn't be happening in the first place, what a waste. I know it gives you guys something to do and keeps you busy at work maybe, but not really what we're after here. But again, the numbers are going down, and that's a good thing. If we look at kind of the Midwest, in 2009, any Wisconsin people? Guys, I'll talk slower for you, okay? Just kidding. My wife is from Wisconsin, so she's a lovely, amazing woman, in case anybody's taking notes. So, but just really population, you think about Wisconsin, you think about Iowa, Illinois, we're going to have more deaths. Anybody know how many deaths we had in Illinois last year? Nobody? Oh, and we had great prizes for you if you guessed it. You like $300 gift cards to Best Buy or something? No? Anybody want to guess? 700 is too low. 1,800? You're too high, but if you go back about 20 years, we were about 1,800.
And you call Wisconsin slow.
You heard him say I have a gun, right? All right. In Illinois, we're at 911, and sadly, we're on pace this year to actually come in higher than that. We've been going down pretty consistent over the past few years, but 911, it's a good number. If we look at Illinois years past, that's the lowest number we've had since 1921. So we're really proud of that. That's a big deal. First time under 1,000, lowest number we've had since 1921. That's awesome. But that's still 900 people who died, probably for no good reason. You guys have all lost a family member or friend or at least an acquaintance in a car crash. And that's a horrible thing, but when you think about the fact that, geez, that didn't really happen. That shouldn't have happened. It's not like they had cancer or something like that. This does not have to happen. So lots of big numbers here, really no great reason for them. Somebody over here mentioned 1800. If you go back to 1989, that's about where we were at. And kind of over time, consistently gone down. If we look at local here, like you said, I'm a trooper for District 16 State Police. We cover Joe Daviess, Stevenson, Winnebago, and Boone County. So just kind of across the top northwest corner of Illinois here. In Boone County, lots of crashes, injuries, fatalities. Joe Daviess, a little smaller county. Stevenson, and of course Winnebago's the big one. Okay, and this is going back to 2008. If we look at 2009 and then so far in 2010, do I have a laser? Oh, I do have a laser. Fun. Okay, measly amused, sorry. If we look at 2010 here, these are just year to date for 2010, but since I turned this program into these folks so they could look at it for the presentation here today, you can add one to Boone County, you can add one to Stevenson County, and you can add one to Winnebago County in the last week. What's interesting, the Boone County one, no seatbelt. I think, unless I'm confusing it with another one, I think he was ejected. Generally, when you have a seatbelt, you don't get ejected. Wow, what a concept. The one in Stevenson, no seatbelt, and I'm fairly certain there was alcohol involved in that one. And I think his cause of death so far, and I haven't heard for sure on autopsy, but smoke inhalation. When you roll your truck and you don't have a seatbelt on, there's a good chance you get knocked out or injured. When your vehicle catches on fire, how do you escape? Maybe a seatbelt would have been beneficial, so when our vehicle rolls, maybe we're still injured, but maybe it's not as serious. We're at least, alert, maybe awake, and then we can escape. And then the Winnebago one, drunk and no seatbelt, ejected. And there's a whole other story that goes along with that one, which is just ridiculous, but I'm not going to get into it. So, you know what? I put my foot in my mouth about twice a week, and I don't know if anybody in here is, it's a big crowd, so I don't want to offend or, I'll offend somebody anyway, but I already did with Wisconsin, right? So that was like the second slide. If we look at, and this is statewide again for Illinois, in 2009 we had 89,000 injury crashes, 131,000 in 2003, and again the fatalities in 2009, 911, and about 14,500 in 2003. The reason I go to 2003 is that's when, in Illinois, our primary enforcement law went into effect. Prior to this, if you drove by me without a seatbelt on, I just waved, kind of mumbled under my breath, moron. Now, the way it is, or the way it's been for the last several years, if you drive by me, I can stop you for this. It used to be a secondary offense. Now I can stop you for just not wearing your seatbelt. And since we do that, and a lot of people call us the Illinois Seatbelt Police because we're so big on it, a lot more people buckle up. And actually, there's a number right there. 76% in 2003. We're almost at 92% in 2009. A lot more people buckle up. And because of that, we're having fewer injury crashes and fewer fatalities. People worry about getting this $60 ticket. It's not $55 anymore. It's a $60 ticket. Fines went up for some reason. People worry about this. $60. Who cares? And I'm not saying don't worry about the law or don't worry about the fine, but the bigger thing is it might save your life. That's why we want people to do this. We are not out enforcing laws trying to ruin your day. We are not trying to make your insurance rates go up. We are trying to enforce the law so people will obey the law more. And the more people obey the law, the less crashes we have. And the less crashes we have, the less injuries and deaths we have. That's what we're trying to do. And I try to explain that to 15-year-olds in driver's ed, and they just, I don't know. Anyway, if we go back to 2008, we had 1,042 fatalities. 53% of these folks were not wearing seatbelts. Let's say that all these people who weren't buckled up maybe had a seatbelt on. What do you suppose this number could have been? Less? Well, half that. And actually, that's usually what I hear. People see 50%, and it's, well, maybe 500. You can't just cut it in half, because another way to look at this, it's about 47% of the people killed were wearing seatbelts. Does the seatbelt guarantee we live? No, it doesn't. In a lot of crashes, yeah, it's definitely going to be helpful, but there's some crashes where, you know what, no, it's just not going to matter. This is kind of an example of one where seatbelt probably would be beneficial. case you didn't catch that. Now that is a bad crash. Had we had seatbelts on, it's still a bad crash, but probably not quite as bad for the people. This one here, this is a little more local. This was October 14th, 2008 on Route 20 between Pecatonica and Freeport, 20 and Boland Road area. And maybe some of you were out there kind of dealt with this. Anyway, what we had was a semi do a U-turn where he shouldn't have done a U-turn, kind of close to a hill. Car pops over the hill, drives under the back of the trailer. Semi-driver thought he blew a tire. He didn't realize there was a car back there, so he, see the white line? He keeps driving to get past a guardrail to pull off onto the shoulder. Jumps out to check his tire, imagine his surprise when this is what he finds. This crash happened at 6:50 in the morning. You can see the time down there, that's actually 7:37. 6:50 in the morning, your driver's still in there. And I'll just draw your attention to this gentleman quick. He's a paramedic for German Valley. And I'm going to talk more about him in a minute. He's a good guy. Either way, your driver is still in there, and you can see how far underneath the semi that the car is. And if you can kind of tell, here's a foot, leg, this is her shoulder, and this is the gal's chin. Basically hit her chest on the bumper of the semi. You don't see a whole lot of damage to the semi either, do you? They can't just yank her out. You saw she's pretty well under the trailer. So what they have to do, they build these blocks up, put the airbags on top of the blocks, inflate the airbags, which lifts the semi, and then they can pull the car out the back. It's kind of what the car looks like when it's done. Fire department, of course, cut the roof off, so it looks a little worse. But she had a seatbelt on. A seatbelt is not always going to save us. If I recall, she either died at the hospital or en route to the hospital. They did fly her, but she just had so many injuries, I don't think there was a whole lot of hope for her. The nice thing about this crash, the 3-year-old who was sitting right here, a couple stitches on her forehead, she's fine, because she was in a child seat, secured properly in the child seat, and that child seat was correctly installed in that vehicle. We'll talk more about car seats in a minute. Whether it's a person or a baby not buckled up into a car seat, or your dog, that's my dog Lucy. Everybody just laughs. There's no awes or anything. She's a cute dog. Thank you. She's not the brightest, but we love her. Anyway, whether it's a person, a dog, or baby, whatever the case is, if there's a crash and whatever it is not restrained or bolted down or strapped down, if there's a crash, it's going to move. So, for example, my dog weighs about 70 pounds. If I'm driving down the road in my minivan, when I mention I have a minivan to teenagers, it's always funny, but give it 15 years, kids. If I'm going down the road at 60 miles per hour and Lucy's barking at my ear in the minivan and I run a stop sign or something and I get in a crash, just in real simple terms, your weight times your speed equals your unrestrained force. So you're going to have 4,200 pounds of force. 2 tons of force may be flying at the back of your seat if Lucy's in the back. Or something to think about, how many of us only weigh 70 pounds? Got to be one smart guy that's going to raise their hand. There always is. Come on. No? All right. The higher either number goes, the faster you go or the more you weigh, the more force there's going to be involved. If I weigh about 200 pounds, if we get in a crash at 50 miles an hour, that's 10,000 pounds of force. It's 5 tons. Can you duck? No. Maybe you have your seatbelt on and your airbag's going, but when I hit the back of your seat with that much force, I don't know, maybe all bets are off at that point. So I meet a lot of people and I always wear my seatbelt. Well, do you make sure everybody else in your car is buckled up? No. It's not just for their safety for them to buckle up, it's for everybody in that vehicle's safety. So kind of back to kids for a minute, because whenever I talk about this, there's always one traffic stop that comes to my mind, and I stopped him on the ramp to Alpine from Bypass 20 out there. He had, you guys all know what an infant seat is, right? It's got the little carrier, you can take it out of the base and carry the baby around if they're sleeping. He had a child in an infant seat, and he propped it up on the back seat so the kid was facing forward and put the seatbelt over it. And the seatbelt was just at the bottom. So there's a crash. The seat was easily going to come flying out. Well, I thought he'd want to see where we were going. He's 6 months old. I don't think he has a clue where you're going. Can't see over the dash anyway. But if there's a crash, horrible things are going to happen. I guess maybe that's better than not buckling him to a seat at all. But we got to really pay attention to these child seats. Infant seats are always rear-facing, and really, the longer you can keep a child rear-facing, probably the safer they are. After they outgrow that infant seat, they're going to be in a lot of times they're called combination or convertible seats. They'll be rear-facing, and then once the child is a year old and 20 pounds, they can be forward-facing. A lot of parents rush this. They want that child forward-facing because it's just easier to deal with, to stick back and put a nook in their mouth or give them goldfish or whatever. If they're rear-facing yet, it makes it a little more difficult, but the longer you can keep them rear-facing, the better off they'll be. About any statistic you look at is going to support that. So, and then, of course, booster seats. In Illinois, we have a law that they have to be in a child seat until they're 8 years old. Is it okay to have a 9-year-old in a booster seat still if they're a little smaller? Certainly it is. Certainly it is. A lot of people are confused by the laws and the stuff that goes along with child seats. If your child can't, or any child you're dealing with, can't sit on a seat and have their legs bend at a 90 degree, basically hang straight down, if their back is all the way at the back of the seat, I don't know if you guys can see, but just for example, if a child can sit in a seat like this and their legs can bend at the 90 degrees, they're probably okay to be out of that booster, assuming they're 8 or older. If their back is all the way against the back of the seat, but their legs are short enough that their legs aren't bent at the 90 degree, just follow what I'm saying here, keep them in a booster. Okay? Don't rush them out of that. They're safer in that booster, even if they are 8, 9, 10 years old. And by the time they're 10, they know that they don't have to be in a booster by law because their friends don't ride in one, everything like that. But just lie to them, tell them the law changed or something. They're safer. That's what we're after. They're safer. In Illinois, according to the Department of Transportation, they say about 90% of children are being put in child seats. However, according to the National Safety Council, about 80% of seats are being used incorrectly. So people are using them, they're just not using them right. And in my experience, 80% is pretty low. Okay? 80% of these, it's more than that. The vast majority, a good 90% I would bet, are not being used properly. I'm a certified child seat safety technician, I think is the title. Any of those in here? Nobody? Come on, people. You guys got kids or grandkids or something? Even if you're not necessarily going to use it at work a lot, great stuff to know. Really good stuff to know. So if you ever see ads for free car seat check, take advantage of that. Don't just go to the fire department or police department and, they know how to do it. They don't know any more than you do unless they're a certified tech. I went through the class when my oldest was 4 months old. I'm just sitting there like sinking in my seat because, oh my God, my kid's seat's all jacked up. I'm the worst dad ever, but I didn't know any better. But you know what? Did I read the instructions? No, it's a car seat. I know how to put it in a car seat. You know what? No, you don't. Stuff has changed, all right? There's so many different types of seats. There's so many different types of cars and seatbelt mechanisms. Read the instructions. You'll get confused because some lawyer wrote it. Give us a holler. We'll help you out. Speaking of child seats, this is a crash, I think, July of this year, June or July of this year. This is German Valley Road and intersection of Hollywood Road, kind of southeast of Freeport. Just kind of for reference, this is my squad car. This Toyota ran the stop sign. He'll tell you he stopped. He did not. And even if he did, he pulled right out in front of a truck. So anyway, stop sign right here. He pulls out in front of a Dodge Ram pickup truck. You can kind of see where the impact was. Driver, airbags, seat belts, everything deploys. Driver's okay. Female passenger gets banged around, but she's okay in the end. Kind of from the other side, again, there's the back of my car, so we're looking west down the road now. And you can kind of see the pickup truck in there, where he ended up. Another view of the Toyota. And there's the front of the Dodge Ram that hit the Toyota. If we look inside, an infant base. Now, we've been in there and looking at stuff. The infant base was buckled in, everything like that, and that's where it was sitting. It was in that seat. You guys notice anything about this picture? It's in the front seat. Well, there is no back seat. Okay, well, you have a Dodge Ram? Is there? This is the Dodge Ram pickup. See the airbag? Is there an airbag over here? That paramedic at that other crash, he was driving this one. And just kind of through his job, he knew, you know what, I know there's a little bit more to this stuff, so he looked into it. God, if I put a child seat in the front, child seat plus airbag is a huge no-no. So he went and had the dealer put a switch in so he could turn the airbag off. So he was one of those people who was smart enough to say, you know what, maybe it could happen to me. And his 9-month-old child is a lot better off for it now. Now, the center console thing is down. That's where Mom was sitting. She didn't have the benefit of airbag, but she did have a seatbelt on. They did, she had the worst of it. She got scans and all, I don't know, whatever it is, but she was fine, okay? Everybody was sore the next day, but she was fine. So this one could have been a lot worse. But by Dad doing a little bit of homework, this one turned out really good. And they were hauling a ton of sweet corn in the bed of the pickup. And there was like sweet corn everywhere, so it was good. Somebody had to clean it up, right? Fire department truck was just full. Anyway, so overall seat belts. This is for front seat occupants. You go back to 1985, 16% of people were wearing seat belts. Now we're at almost 92. That's good. That's great. We're one of the highest states around as far as seat belts go. Can you throw that? Maybe you guys have seen this. This has been on. I've been using this for a few years. It made its way to Comedy Central last year or this year, but. Think he had a headache? Maybe? I'm pretty sure he lived. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure he lived. I'm going to do this one more time. And when I do this in driver's ed classes, what is he doing wrong? No seatbelt. What else? He's dozing off. Anything else? Supposed to have 2 hands on the wheel. How many of you guys always drive with 2 hands on the wheel? Uh-huh. That's what I thought. You've got your email out and your BlackBerry, and so okay, we got 3 issues so far. Andy's a Dale Earnhardt fan, but whatever. Okay, a little lobster thing going too. You saw him doze off. What he does, he drifts off the road, he hits a guardrail. Kind of wakes up, has that oh crap moment. If you experience that while you're driving, that's not a great thing to have. He bounces out of his seat a little bit, right? When he hit that guardrail, if he had a seatbelt on, would the seatbelt lock up? Yeah. Okay, so seatbelt would have been beneficial this far. What's he doing with his left hand? Over here. His left. He's steering. He's trying to regain control of his vehicle, right? With his right hand, he's bracing himself. If he had a seatbelt on, that would help hold him in his seat. Would he have to brace himself? Maybe, maybe not. We can't say for sure. But if we didn't have to brace ourselves, where could we put this hand? On the steering wheel. You think we got a better shot of regaining control with 2 hands than 1? Yeah, absolutely. Then, of course, at this point, if he had his seatbelt on, he'd be in his seat now with his head out the window. But if we had our seatbelt on, I talked about 2 hands trying to regain control instead of 1. A lot of people never even consider that a seatbelt could help you maybe avoid a crash. He hit the guardrail, but maybe he could have avoided rolling over. We can't say for sure, but you never know. Somebody over here asked why there's a camera in there. He drove for a cab company, and DriveCam, you can go to drivecam.com and see all kinds of videos along these lines. They got complaints on his driving, so they put a camera in his car to see what all the fuss was about, and maybe he ate too big a lunch and always needed a nap every day. I don't know. Get into motorcycles. A lot of times when we have problems with motorcycle crashes, a lot of times it's because somebody didn't see the motorcycle. And then a lot of times, too, it's because of stupid behavior. And maybe he could have pulled this off. He didn't have the matching pants like these two, so. If we go back to 2009, again, this is statewide. 1.3% of all our crashes in Illinois were motorcycles. However, 14% of the fatalities were. It's a more dangerous type of vehicle. You don't need me to tell you that. And last year, it kind of came out to be 50-50 in our 4 counties anyway, about was it kind of the motorcycle guy's fault or was it the car who didn't see him, their fault. So we can't just lay blame on one person. People need to be alert for motorcycles, and people on the motorcycles need to not do stupid things. Our numbers are going down, and they are nationwide too, and that's a good thing. We have had, this number didn't change in the last week, but 8 of our 36 fatalities have been motorcycles. None of them have been wearing a helmet. And I'm not saying a helmet's going to save you every time, and you can kind of see last year 11 of the 14 weren't wearing them. We don't have a helmet law. There's nothing to enforce. Maybe there'll be one in a few years, maybe not, I don't know. But in Illinois, about 32% of people wear helmets. Best we can do is say, you know, it's a really good idea. Maybe it's not going to save you every time, but you know what? Seatbelt might not either. It's a good idea. I could tell a story, but I don't know if it's appropriate, so we'll just keep moving. Another little motorcycle video. So again, a helmet might not save us every time. We could play that one more time. It was worth it, right? So those of us that have daughters and they're dating the guy with the motorcycle, and she didn't have it, but they get on the motorcycle with their little short shorts and their sandals. Duh. But you can't tell them anything. Let's get into alcohol here. I think I'm getting close on time, but in 2009, 373 of our traffic deaths in Illinois involved alcohol. Here's some famous DUI mugshots. You guys know who that is? Yeah. Nick Nolte? No driver's ed kid knows who that is anymore, but what a great mugshot. I don't want to take it out of the program. Of course, Mel Gibson, Harrison Nicole, Jack Bauer, whatever, yeah, Sutherland. Lindsay Lohan, of course. Sir Charles. You guys know who this is? Yeah, Sixth Sense. There you go. His sister's on Hannah Montana, I think. Is that right? You watch Hannah Montana? Oh, okay, sure. Likely story. It's great when a 15-year-old guy says, yeah. Dork. All right. Again, 373, and that was about 41% of our crashes. 40% really historically over the last several years. That's about the number of alcohol-related crashes we see. In Illinois, statewide this year, we've been down more around 25% or so. Sadly, in the district here, our 4 counties, we were right along that 20-25%. Now we've moved up because we have just had a handful of our deaths lately that have been alcohol-related. We take about 50,000 people a year to jail for DUI. We're not catching all of them. We're just catching a handful. So the biggest thing I could say is if you don't do it yourself, all you got to do is worry about the other guy. We look at DUI arrests throughout the district. Of course, Winnebago is going to have a lot more. Now, I don't want to draw conclusions here, but I started the job I'm in as a safety education officer in 2007. Prior to that, I worked the road mainly in Daviess and Stevenson County, so I mean, you could see their DUI numbers went down pretty good. Not saying that was me, but, could have been. You don't know. One of the new things we've got now is January 1st last year, you guys maybe heard of this, basically they put the breathalyzer in your car. For a first-time offender, you can get the breathalyzer put in your car after you serve a month-long suspension, and this allows you to drive. You got to blow on it to start your car, and periodically as you're driving, you got to blow on it. It's called a BAID unit, breath alcohol ignition interlock device. $100 installation fee. You have to rent it, $80 a month, and a $30 a month monitoring fee. Of course, it's Illinois, and if you can't afford it, we've got a fund to help you pay for it. But you can afford to go to the bar every day. But anyway, so this is a pretty pricey thing, on top of all your lawyer fees, your fines, your classes, everything like that. Last year in Illinois, the rough number is about $12,000, and that's a monitoring device driving permit, which would allow you to have that in your car. About 12,000 of those were issued last year. We're kind of following a program that New Mexico instituted, and they saw about a 20% decrease in alcohol-related deaths. Like I said, statewide, ours are going down a bit too here, so this really could be a good thing. According to NHTSA, average American today is 51% less likely to die in an alcohol-related crash than in 1982. Most of us were around in 1982, probably all of us. So that's good. You know, the days of you getting pulled over by the cops and him throwing your keys into the cornfield and saying, sleep it off, those days are gone. You know what? You drive down the road drunk on your John Deere, you can get a DUI on your lawnmower, and then we'll tow your lawnmower. I'm not saying we want to. It's happened, though. Or a golf cart. How many of you guys have ever dealt with a golf cart crash? Alcohol-related, obviously. You know, not been in. I've been in one. I've been ejected from one vehicle in my life, and it was a golf cart. He just said cuff him up. Okay, obviously that's not how we really do it. Have you guys ever seen the video from Reno 911? Those sobriety tests where the guy's dancing and all this and that? My sister-in-law sent that to me. Where's this at? I can't believe they make you do this. Oh my God, come on. Simple stuff we ask you to do. But anyway, I think it did this last year. Anyway, driving habits are going to play a huge role when we're driving, aside from alcohol, everything like that. Be it talking on a phone or speeding. This was a car. Tree ran out in front of it. Ripped the car in half. Some more views of the back half. Front, what's left of the front. If we had a steering wheel, how many could just bend the wheel over like that? Yeah, but remember how much force is going on in these crashes. And there's no seatbelt here. You can see the white sheets. We all know what that means. And there's another view of the tree that started it all. If your engine is ejected, perhaps you're going too fast. If you looked at the ambulance, you see the license plates, everything like that. This is not for the United States. This is from overseas. Also, we don't wear our pants like that here. So. You guys would be amazed at the classes that don't laugh at that. If a cop comes to your driver's ed class and does wedgie jokes, you should laugh. I'm just saying. Anyway, this was a little bigger laugh than we usually get, so I'm not really sure how to take that. Obviously, in this case, we were going over 100 miles an hour in this case. Speeding is a definite top cause of crashes. If everybody slowed down, we'd have a lot fewer problems out there. The faster you go, the more you're going to increase your chance of getting in a crash, and the worse that crash is going to be. Kind of aside from speed now, we have 5 young ladies that a couple of years ago, just a few days after they graduated high school, got in a head-on crash with a truck, tractor, semi-trailer. Was our driver speeding? I don't know, but what was she doing? She was texting. Can this happen here? Certainly it can. This is Chelsea Toot. She is from Elizabeth out in Joe Daviess County. She was killed August of '09 in a crash down by Savannah. Her dad's the Elizabeth police chief. Buddy of mine. I've known him for quite some time. Texting, cross center line, got in a head-on crash. That was it. What a horrible thing. It does happen here. And I'm waiting on a couple reports because there's 2 here in Winnebago County that we're suspecting are texting related. We don't have all the information yet. So anyway, I know you guys have cell phones. Maybe you got like 2 of them. And I know you use them while you drive. My wife made fun of the cell phone picture I have there, but it's nicer than the one the state gives me, so I don't know what the big deal is. No BlackBerry for me. If you use them while you drive, if you can see that, we have texting ban, we have email, internet, any of that stuff. You cannot drive down the road and be playing with your phone. Okay, it's illegal. More importantly, it's dangerous. People are dying from this. I mean, Oprah's even on board with it. We've been saying it for 5 years, but now Oprah's on board and all of a sudden it's a big deal. So whatever, it gets people talking about it. Also, it's illegal to use a handheld phone in a school or work zone. Did you know that? So hands-free is safer, right? What the National Safety Council has found is the people who are hands-free think they're safer, and then they talk on the phone more. Your brain's concentrating on your conversation, not your driving. That leads to problems. So if we can just kind of stay off the phone. 20 years ago, we weren't all on the phone driving. 20 years ago, I wasn't driving, but anyway. we didn't have the problems, phone related back then. It could be that way again. But we're also used to it. Talking on the phone has become part of driving. That's a problem. We need to go the other way here. So if you ever have questions, comments, whatever, feel free. Shoot me an email. I'm never at the office. Call my cell phone. Shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help you out. If you know your neighbor's cooking meth or something too, you can give us that information, whatever. I don't know if we got time. Any questions real quick? Or if you guys have questions, I'm going to stick around until the first break. Come up and grab me before I take off. Be happy to talk to you. So thank you.